There is an organ in your body that is secretly controlling every thought, every emotion, every decision you make right now. It is not your brain. And the scariest part? This organ is full of trillions of living creatures that may be working against you right now, destroying your sanity without you realizing it. What's worse is that you feed these creatures every day, not knowing that every bite may be taking you to an abyss of anxiety and despair that it may be too late to escape. Right now, as you read these words, there is a silent war happening inside your body, a war that you cannot see, cannot feel, but that you are determining if you will wake up tomorrow with a desire to live, or that overwhelming weight on the chest that makes each breath seem an impossible effort. And the most terrifying part is that you are probably losing this war without even knowing that it exists. Within its intestines at this time, trillions of bacteria are fighting for control. Some of these bacteria are your allies, working tirelessly to produce the serotonin that keeps you working, which prevents your mind from collapsing. But others are cruel invaders who want only one thing: destroy their ability to be happy. And they are winning in millions of people who have no idea what is happening. Think about it. How many times have you woke up for no apparent reason feeling that inexplicable anguish, that tightness in the chest that won't leave, that feeling that something terrible is about to happen but you don't know what? You blamed stress, blamed the work, blamed relationships. But what if I tell you that the real culprit was literally feeding on you inside, growing stronger with every wrong meal, every night badly slept, every antibiotic tablet you took thinking you were healing? Compact CTA, maximum 1,000 characters. If you have come here with a fast heart, it is because your body is screaming for help, and I have the complete solution waiting in the set comments. Run there now and click on the fixed link. It does not roll slowly. Don't leave it later. Every second lost is another second by feeding the bacteria that want to destroy you. Within the free ebook, you will find out the exact 21-day protocol to reset your intestine and firing serotonin production, the full list of foods that are sabotaging you without knowing, the 5-minute test that reveals if your bad bacteria have already dominated, and the secret that nutritionists charge thousands to reveal. Imagine waking up in a month with that energy you had before your life destroyed your intestine, without anxiety, without that weight in the chest. No days lost in bed. This is one click away in the fixed comments. But the link is not available forever. When you get off the air, it's over. You will come back, and it was already. It will have that bitter regret of losing the chance when it was right in front of you. The difference between those who change their lives and those who continue to suffer is not luck. It is action. Rolls up to the comments set now. Click the link, put your email, and in 2 minutes, you have the full map to recover your happiness. Your gut is begging. Does not ignore this call. Go now. Bad bacteria in your intestine are like smart parasites. They have discovered a devilish way of guaranteeing your survival, make you want exactly the foods that feed them. Does that uncontrollable desire to eat sweet at 3 in the afternoon? It is not your weakness. It is the bad bacteria by sending chemical signs straight to your brain, kidnapping your free will, turning you into a biological puppet that exists only to feed them. And the more you give in, the stronger they get, the weak the good bacteria get, and the deeper you sink into an anxiety and depression descendant spiral. With each bite of processed food, you are literally choosing which army will win the war within you. That fast food hamburger, pure fuel for bacteria that want to see you miserable. That soda, sweet poison that kills your defenders while strengthening your enemies. And the frightening is that this process is cumulative. Each bad choice adds, every day of carelessness adds more soldiers to the wrong army, until one day you wake up and no longer recognize yourself. Have you ever wondered why anxiety and depression have exploded in recent decades? Why are you more and younger people suffering from mental problems that once only appeared in old age? It is no coincidence. It is a silent epidemic caused by the systematic destruction of our intestinal microbiota, indiscriminately used antibiotics, ultra-processed foods that our grandparents would not even recognize as food, pesticides that kill not the pests, but also the bacteria we need to survive. We are in a mass extinction of intestinal biodiversity, and the price is being paid with our sanity. The most terrifying is the speed with which this can happen. Studies show that only 3 days of a bad diet can dramatically change their intestinal microbiota. 3 days, less time than a long weekend eating crap, may be enough to completely unbalance the ecosystem that keeps you mentally stable. And the worst, reverse this damage can take months, sometimes years. It is easy to destroy, difficult to rebuild. Now think about the children, babies born by cesarean section, not receiving the essential bacteria that should come from the birth canal. Food with formula instead of breast milk, losing the inoculation of protective bacteria, growing up in too sterile environments, without contact with the healthy dirt that trains the immune system, being bombarded with antibiotics to the smallest sign of infection. Each of these interventions, made with good intentions, may be condemning an entire generation to chronic mental problems. And when these problems appear in adolescence, no one connects the points. No one realizes that the terror they feel began in the intestine years earlier. There is an even darker phenomenon happening. Bad bacteria not only reduce serotonin production, they actively produce toxins that cross the intestinal barrier and reach the brain. These toxins cause neuroinflammation, literally burning your brain from the inside out. Imagine your brain in invisible flames, neurons dying slowly, connections being destroyed, and you have no idea what is happening. Just feeling the symptoms: mental confusion, extreme fatigue, violent mood changes, intrusive thoughts that appear out of nowhere. The intestinal barrier, when healthy, is like a powerful wall protecting you from chaos. But when it breaks, when it gets too permeable, it is as if the hell's floodgates opened. Pieces of non-digested food, whole bacteria, toxins, all leaking to the bloodstream. Its immune system panics, attacking everything, including its own tissues. Systemic inflammation explodes, and his brain, connected directly to this field of battle by the vagus nerve, receives every sign of danger, each chemical alarm, interpreting everything as a deadly threat. Result: paralyzing anxiety, panic attacks out of nowhere, the constant feeling that you are dying, even if all exams say you are physically well. Doctors will tell you that everything is in your head. They will fill you with antidepressants who move only with the small fraction of serotonin in the brain, completely ignoring the factory destroyed in its gut. And when medicines do not work properly, when side effects appear, when you keep feeling empty inside, they increase the dose or exchange the medicine. No one looks down. No one investigates the real source of the problem. And you are still suffering, thinking you are weak, thinking you are defective, when you are in fact just another victim of a system that does not understand the connection between belly and brain. Time is working against you. With each passing day with the intestine in imbalance, the bad bacteria were saddened more deeply. They form biofilms, protective structures that make them almost impossible to eliminate. They change the expression of their genes, literally changing how their cells work. They may even be affecting your memory, your personality, who you are at the most fundamental level. Scary research suggests that changes in microbiota can change personality traits, make people more anxious, more impulsive, less sociable. Are you still you, or are you already controlled by trillions of microscopic organisms and don't think it's safe just because you feel good today? This is the cruel trick of intestinal destruction. It is silent until it is no longer. You may be accumulating damage for years, decades without obvious symptoms. Until one day, any stressor, an infection, an emotional trauma acts as the trigger that detonates everything. Suddenly you collapse. severe anxiety out of nowhere, deep depression without apparent cause, panic syndrome that holds you at home. And everyone is confused because you have always been so strong, so stable. But the truth is that the bomb was being silently armed in its intestines for years and finally exploded. Think of all the people you know suffering mentally. Statistics say 1 in 4 people will have a serious mental problem in life. Look around, Conte. Someone close to you is or will be in this group. It may be you, it may be your child. And how many of these people are receiving real help that attacks the root of the problem? How many are just masking symptoms with medications while the intestine continues to rot inside? The answer is virtually none, and that should terrify you. But fear can also be transformative. You can use this fear as a fuel to act before it's late. Each meal is a chance to change the course of the war. Each choice to put real food on the plate is a victory against the bacteria that want to destroy you. Each well-slept night strengthens your advocates. Each moment managing stress is a direct attack on the invaders. You are not powerless, but you need to act now because the longer it expects, the harder it is to reverse the damage that is accumulating. The question that should keep you awake at night is not if this can happen to you, but if it is no longer happening right now. That tiredness you attribute to work, that irritation that you blame in traffic, that sadness that appears without reason. It may be the first signs that you are losing the intestinal war. And ignoring these signs, expecting you to improve alone, it's like ignoring smoke thinking that the fire will go out. It won't. It will only grow until it consumes everything. Have you ever stopped to think that the secret of your happiness can be far from your head? While everyone is obsessed with taking care of the brain, taking supplements and doing mental exercises, there is an organ being completely ignored that produces most of the substance responsible for its well-being. We are talking about 9 cents in every 1,000 serotonin molecules of your body, and they are not where you imagine. Most people believe that serotonin, that chemical famous for making us feel good, lives exclusively in the brain. It makes sense to think so, after all that our thoughts, emotions, and all that magic that makes us being who we are. But the truth is much stranger and fascinating than anyone could imagine. Your gut, that long, disgusting tube that you only remember when something goes wrong, is actually a gigantic factory of happiness. Think of your gut like a huge city, full of tiny workers you can't even see. These workers are billions and billions of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that live inside, forming what scientists call the intestinal microbiota. This microscopic city is so complex and important that some researchers call it a second brain. And it is not exaggeration, because there are more nerve cells in your intestine than in your entire spine. Now comes the part that will explode your head. Of these nerve cells in the intestine, about 90% of all serotonin that exists in your body. 90%. This means that when you are feeling sad, anxious, or moody, the problem may not be in your head, but far below, in that region that we usually ignore until you feel a stomach pain. Serotonin is like a chemical messenger traveling through the body, carrying important news. When she arrives in the right cells, she tells her body how to feel, how to digest food, how to regulate sleep, and even how to heal wounds. This is why doctors prescribe medicines that move serotonin to treat depression, anxiety, and other emotional problems. But here is the problem. These remedies focus on the brain, when the real serotonin factory is beating point down there in the intestine. Let's think about how it works in a simpler way. Imagine that your body is a large company. The brain would be the fancy office on the top floor, where important meetings and big decisions take place. But the true production, the heavy work that keeps everything working, happens on the factory floor, which in this case is the gut. If the factory stops working properly, no matter how many meetings happen upstairs, the whole company will suffer. Cells that produce serotonin in the intestine are called enterochromaffin cells. They are spread across the intestinal wall, like small sensors waiting to detect what is going on. When you eat something, these cells analyze the content and start producing serotonin based on what you find. If the food is good, full of nutrients that friendly bacteria love, they produce a lot of serotonin. If the food is bad, full of crap that ignites the intestine, production can completely hind up. Here comes a turnaround that changes everything. The bacteria of your intestine are not just passive residents, they are active workers in serotonin production. Some specific bacteria help create the ingredients that enterochromaffin cells need to make serotonin. Other bacteria produce substances that directly stimulate these cells to work harder. It is as if the bacteria was without production managers at your body happiness factory. But not all bacteria are your friends. There are types that cause inflammation, produce toxins, and basically sabotage the entire operation. When these bad bacteria gain too much space in the gut, they begin to destroy serotonin production. It is as if invaders entered the factory and start breaking the machines. The result is that you begin to feel terrible, even if nothing bad is happening in your life. Communication between the intestines and the brain happens through several different roads. The main one is the vagus nerve, a huge nervous path that connects the intestine directly to the brain. Imagine this nerve as a two-way highway where messages travel up and down all the time. When the intestine produces serotonin, part of this information travels through the vagus nerve to the brain, saying how things are going down there. The brain then responds by sending its own messages back. Another form of communication is through the bloodstream. Serotonin produced in the gut cannot cross the barrier that protects the brain, so it does not enter directly, but she travels through the blood to other organs, affecting how you feel in direct ways. In addition, bowel bacteria produce hundreds of other chemicals that can reach the brain and influence their mood, energy, and even their thoughts. Think when you get nervous before an important presentation and feel that cold in your belly, or when you are in love and feel butterflies in your stomach. These sensations are not coincidental. They are your gut talking to your brain, sending and receiving emotional messages. The gut literally feels their emotions and responds to them, just as the brain feels what is happening in the intestine. Now let's talk about food, because that's where things get really practical. Everything you put in your mouth directly affects the bacteria of the intestine and consequently the production of serotonin. Processed foods full of sugar, bad fats and artificial ingredients are like poison for good bacteria. They feed the bad bacteria, cause inflammation, and destroy the gut ability to properly produce serotonin. On the other hand, natural and fiber-filled foods are like fertilizer for a garden. They feed good bacteria, help create a healthy bowel environment, and increase serotonin production. Fibers are especially important because bacteria turn into substances called short-chain fatty acids, which are like premium fuel for intestinal cells. These acids also help reduce inflammation and improve the intestinal barrier. The intestinal barrier is another crucial character in this whole story. Imagine the wall of your intestine as a super selective filter. It lets the nutrients pass good that the body needs, but blocks toxins, bad bacteria, and pieces of non-digested food. When this barrier is damaged, things that should be inside the gut begin to leak for the bloodstream. This causes widespread inflammation throughout the body and completely mess the production of serotonin. Stress is another villain in this story. When you get stressed, your body releases hormones like cortisol. These hormones travel to the gut and begin to cause problems. They change the balance of bacteria, increase the permeability of the intestinal barrier, and reduce serotonin production. That's why when you go through a very stressful period, you usually also have digestive problems. Your gut is literally feeling stress with you, but there is more. The intestine does not only produce serotonin, it also manufactures other important brain chemicals such as dopamine, which is linked to motivation and pleasure, and GABA, which helps calm the mind. Intestinal bacteria produce B vitamins, which are essential for nervous functioning. They create amino acids that serve as a raw material for neurotransmitters. It is a true chemical factory happening inside. Let's think of real examples of how it affects your life. Have you noticed that when you have diarrhea or constipation, it is also more annoyed and moody? It is no coincidence. Its gut is in trouble and is sending signs of help to the brain. Or when do you eat something too heavy and greasy and then feel slow and a little depressed? Again, your gut is badly reacting to food and it affects your mood directly. There are fascinating studies about this. Researchers took mice that were anxious and fearful and transplanted intestinal bacteria of brave and calm rats. Guess what happened? The anxious rats began to act more bravely. CO and Trare also worked. When they put bacteria of eager rats in calm rats, they got more fearful. This proves that intestinal bacteria directly influence behavior and emotions. In humans, the results are equally impressive. Studies show that people with depression and anxiety usually have a very different intestinal bacterial composition from healthy people. They have less diversity of bacteria and more species associated with inflammation. When these people receive probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria, or change food to improve the gut, many report significant improvement in mood and anxiety. The interesting thing is that this works in both directions. Just as the intestine affects the brain also affects the intestine. When you are anxious or depressed, your brain sends signs that alter intestinal movement, mucus and acid production, and even bacteria composition. It is a cycle that can be vicious or virtuous, depending on how you take care of it. Antibiotics are another important factor in this equation. Every time you take antibiotics, they don't just kill the bad bacteria that are causing infection, they also destroy the good bacteria of the gut. It's like throwing a bomb at your serotonin factory. After antibiotic treatment, it can take months for the gut to recover completely, and many people report mood swings during and after treatment. The lack of sleep also messes everything. When you do not sleep well, the intestinal bacteria are confusing. They have their own circadian rhythm, a biological clock that works along with yours. When you get awake until late or sleep little, this clock deregulates. The wrong bacteria start to grow and serotonin production decreases. This creates another bad cycle because serotonin is also necessary to produce melatonin, the sleep hormone. Physical exercise is like magic to the intestine. When you move, especially moderate aerobic exercises, this increases the diversity of intestinal bacteria. Exercise also improves blood flow to the intestine, helps to move intestinal content more efficiently, and reduce inflammation. All this results in more serotonin production. That's why you feel so well after a workout. Hydration is another factor that many people ignore. Your gut needs water to work right. Water helps dissolve nutrients, allows bacteria to move and communicate, and maintains the healthy intestinal barrier. When you are dehydrated, everything in the gut gets slower and more difficult, including serotonin production. Now let's talk about specific foods that help. Fermented foods, such as natural yogurt, kefir, sauce, and kimchi, are full of living bacteria that go straight to the intestine to reinforce the good team. Fiber. Rich foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and vegetables feed these good bacteria. Foods with tryptophan, an amino acid that is raw material for serotonin, also help. Examples include eggs, fish, nuts, and seeds. Omega-3, found in fatty fish such as salmon and sardines, is extremely anti-inflammatory and helps protect the intestinal barrier. Polyphenols, which are compounds found in colored fruits, teas, cocoa, and olive oil, feed specific bacteria that are great for serotonin production. Basically, the more colorful and natural your plate, the better for your gut and your happiness. On the other hand, some foods are true sabotagers. Refined sugar feeds bad bacteria and fungi such as candida, which cause inflammation and compete with good bacteria. Trans fats and refined vegetable oils damage the intestinal barrier. Artificial sweeteners, ironically used by people trying to be healthy, can kill beneficial bacteria and change metabolism. Ultra-processed foods usually contain emulsifiers and preservatives that directly impair intestinal bacteria. Alcohol also deserves special attention. It is toxic to many good intestinal bacteria and increases the permeability of the intestinal barrier. Drinking regularly can cause dramatic changes in bacterial composition and significantly reduce serotonin production. This is why many people who drink too much also suffer from depression and anxiety. There are also medical conditions that affect this relationship between bowel and serotonin. Irritable bowel syndrome, for example, is strongly linked to mood problems. People with this condition often have depression and anxiety, and researchers believe that the connection is in the altered production of serotonin in the gut. Intestinal inflammatory diseases such as Crohn's disease also dramatically affect mood through the same mechanism. Even serums that seem to have nothing to do with the gut may be connected. Studies suggest that autism, for example, may have a strong intestinal component. Many autistic children have severe digestive problems and very different intestinal bacteria of neurotic children. Some researchers believe that improving intestinal health can help alleviate some symptoms of autism. Obesity is another fascinating example. Obese people tend to have a different bacterial composition with less diversity. These bacteria are more efficient in extracting calories from food and promoting fat storage, but they also affect serotonin production, creating a cycle where the person feels bad, eats more comfort, gains more weight, and feels even worse. Aging also changes everything. As we get older, the diversity of intestinal bacteria tends to decrease. We produce less serotonin and other neurotransmitters. The intestinal barrier may become more permeable. This can partially explain why mood problems are more common in older people. But the good news is that taking good care of the gut can help maintain mental health even in old age. Children are especially interesting because their gut is still developing. The first years of life are crucial to establishing a healthy microbiota. Babies born of normal delivery and are breastfed usually develop a healthier and diverse bacterial composition. Studies show that this can affect your mood, behavior, and even cognitive development for the rest of your life. The use of probiotics has become increasingly popular, and rightly so. Probiotics are supplements containing living bacteria that can help restore intestinal balance. Some studies show that certain probiotics can reduce anxiety and improve mood as efficiently as some medications. But it is important to know that not all probiotics are the same, and different bacterial strains have different effects. Prebiotics are another important tool. They are special fibers that specifically feed the good bacteria. Foods such as garlic, onion, asparagus, green banana, and oats are rich in natural prebiotics. They help beneficial bacteria grow and produce more useful substances, including those that increase serotonin production. Intermittent fasting is a practice that also affects the gut in an interesting way. Fasting periods give the gut time to rest and recover. They can help restore the intestinal barrier and improve bacterial balance. Some people report significant improvements in mood when they practice intermittent fasting, probably due to the effects on the intestines. Exposure to nature and dirt is also important, believe or not. Children who play outdoors, have contact with animals and dirt, develop a richer and diverse microbiota. Our modern society obsessed with cleaning may be harming our intestines. A little natural dirt is actually healthy and helps to train our immune system and enrich our intestinal bacteria. The role of stress cannot be underestimated. Stress management techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, and yoga not only calm their minds but also calm the intestine. Studies show that these practices favorably alter the composition of intestinal bacteria and increase serotonin production. It is a way of taking care of the gut through the mind. Social connections also matter more than you think. People with good social relations tend to have healthier intestines. Solitude and isolation can negatively alter intestinal bacteria. This creates a cycle where you feel bad, isolate yourself more, your gut worsens, and you feel even worse. On the other hand, positive social interactions can literally improve your microbiota. Science is still discovering how important the gut is. Researchers now talk about psychobiotics, which are specific probiotics that have positive effects demonstrated on mood and mental health. They are studying as fecal microbiota transplants, where intestinal bacteria of healthy people are transferred to sick people, can treat depression and anxiety. The initial results are promising. There are even studies investigating if specific diets can replace or complement drugs for anxiety and depression. The Mediterranean diet, for example, rich in vegetables, fruits, fish, olive oil, and whole grains, is strongly associated with lower depression rates. Researchers believe this is partially due to the positive effects of this diet on intestinal bacteria and serotonin production. The future of medicine will probably include personalized analysis of the intestinal microbiota. You can take a test that shows exocele, which bacteria live in your gut, which ones are missing, and how it is affecting your mental and physical health. Based on this, you may receive specific diet recommendations and supplements to optimize your serotonin production. While this does not come true, there are simple things you can do now. Eat more fibers from natural sources, add fermented foods to your diet regularly, reduce sugar, processed foods and alcohol, drink plenty of water, sleep well, and at the same time every day, exert regularly even if they are just walking. Manage your stress with techniques that work for you. Cultivate good social relationships. All of this seems very basic, but the accumulated effect of these choices on your intestine is deep. Each meal is an opportunity to feed the right bacteria. Each time of sleep is a chance for your gut to recover and produce more serotonin. Each exercise session strengthens the connection between your gut and your brain. Small daily actions add up to make a huge difference. It is fascinating to think that the key to your happiness can be literally in the food you choose to eat. To take care of your belly is also to take care of your mind. That those tiny bacteria you can't see are working day and night to keep you happy and healthy. When you understand this, every decision about what to put on the plate becomes more significant. The human body is an incredibly complex and interconnected machine. There is no real separation between mind and body, between brain and intestine, between thoughts and digestion. Everything is connected through thousands of chemical, nervous, and hormonal paths. The intestine producing 90% of serotonin is just an example of this deep connection. Think about it the next time you are feeling down. Before assuming it is just a problem in your head, ask yourself how your intestine is going. Are you eating well, sleeping enough, managing stress, drinking water? It may seem too simple, but sometimes the most powerful solutions are the most basic. Your gut may be shouting for help while you are looking for answers everywhere less there. Modern medicine is finally recognizing what ancient cultures already knew intuitively. That health begins in the belly. That you are what you eat is not just a sentence made, but a deep biological truth. That taking care of the body is inseparable to take care of the mind. We are just starting to scratch the surface of what the intestine does for us. Then the next time someone says happiness is in the head, you can smile knowing that it is actually below, in that humble and underrated organ that works silently day and night. Your gut is your happiness factory, and you are the manager responsible for keeping it working perfectly. Every choice you make about food, sleep, exercise, and stress directly affects how much serotonin your body produces. And now you know that 90% of it comes from a place that you probably never gave due attention. It's time to change this and start treating your gut with the respect it deserves, because in the end, it may be the missing secret for you to feel truly well.